Hi, Tom Hughes here, and I thought it was just about time that I do a quick resume video of my recent book, Great Processes, a quick guide on how to make any workplace better with SOPs. Now, you can get the book on Amazon or on Lean Play, and I'll put links in the description of the video if you would like to get the full version. And other than that, let's dive in. So, why did I bother to write this book, Great Processes? Well, the main reason was that we've thousands of users of GEMBA docs, now in more than 25 countries. And I would do these live workshops with clients. And normally the pattern would be very similar 5 or 10 minutes talking about the fringe aspects of the functionality of the software. And then the rest of the workshop all about how do I get my people to want to do this? So that's why I wrote the book. I got lazy answering that question over and over again. So the purpose of the book, it's very short. It's half an hour on audio. It's only just over 5,000 words. The purpose is that if your organization is going to go in the route of SOPs and standardization, that everybody in the organization can digest this book. It's not a big ask. Half an hour of the time, and this video is even shorter. So everyone can understand this. It's very simple. We've deliberately kept it simple and easy to understand. And the idea is that we're going to create pull in the organization to make standards a thing that we want to do rather than what they normally are, which is standards. So that's the purpose and the reason why I wrote the book. So SOPs, tools, not handcuffs. So this is really clear. If you can see the graphic there, no handcuffs. These are useful tools and they only work when that's the spirit behind them. So the definition of great processes, which we have here, is great processes are clearly understood by the people carrying them out, who do so in a smooth and efficient way that allows value to flow to produce a consistent outcome. So that's our definition of what a great process is. And in that circumstance, for them really to work, you need the individual to win, you need the business to win, and you need the customer to win. Well, how does that happen? Well, when we've got good standards in place, there is clarity about how tasks are to be carried out. And that just helps reduce stress, firefighting. We don't have people running around. Like in the book, I write about our typical scenario where the guy who ships the parcels to a specific customer is not in and nobody knows how to do it. And when we don't have any standard or any reference to go back to for that process, it can take hours of people Googling, how do I book the shipper? How do I pack it? How do I raise an invoice? And without standards to refer to, that can take hours and really disrupt the flow of everyone's day, create stress, nobody wins, including the individual, the business, or the customer. So we get better outcomes if we go to our parcel shipping. A really simple example. Was the parcel packed correctly? Did it get to the customer undamaged? Or did we waste a bunch of packaging? We all know the Amazon story for that. But yeah, that's what happens. We get better outcomes when we've got clear, consistent, well-defined processes. And it's clearly much easier to train people when we have standards in place. So both newcomers into the company and when we want to create a good multi-skilled environment where we have a lot of people who know how to do a lot of tasks. And that's what we're really after, especially if we're a lean organization. So in the book, we define 3 types of processes. We have light bulbs, we have bananas, and we have traffic lights. So let's look at light bulbs first. So we want to make all processes so easy that anybody can do them, just like switching on a light bulb, like the cat here. Like I could choose to turn that light on with my left finger, my right finger, my forehead. The light bulb's going to go on, and we all kind of know how to do that. The outcome's not variable. So it's a simple process, low precision. It doesn't really matter how you do it. The outcome's not variable. The bulb is going to light up. High redundancy, that means that we've got lots of people who know how to do that task because it's so easy and simple. And you don't need an SOP for this kind of thing. So ideally, for the guy who's written the software to do SOPs, all processes wouldn't need an SOP. You just walk up and the workplace would be so organized that you wouldn't need to refer to the SOP, that it would just be so clear. Like the Japanese can do that. If you go to use a coffee machine in a vending place, there's not an SOP, but there's a clear set of steps for how you order it, pay for it, collect it, and so on. So that's what we're looking for. And that's the direction we all want to be going in with our processes. So the next ones are bananas. So I'm Tom, and this is Tom, like trying to explain what banana processes are. And this is when we all know a way to do it, but there is an optimum way. And the reason why the term banana got coined, I don't have a banana here, badly planned, but I've been peeling the banana from the stalk end my whole life. And sometimes it works, and other times it doesn't break properly, and the banana pulp goes all over your fingers, or you have to bite the banana to make it work. And I found out recently, if you turn around from the other end and peel it from the blunt end, it's just so much easier, no matter how ripe the banana is. So we've all got processes like that in our business where we can just about work out how to do it, but there is a good way of doing it. So these kind of processes are medium complexity, medium precision. So it's kind of important, but not uber critical that we do them all exactly the same way. So the outcome's variable, not particularly critical, repeating myself now. And not every single person knows how to do these. But yeah, it's not too difficult to train someone up to do it. So have a think about processes in your organization that aren't uber ultra critical, but they will have a better way if we all collectively, if all the different people who complete that task got together and decided, right, we're going to discuss what's the standard way. It's just GEMBA docs is a great tool to do that because you can all do it on the GEMBA. We'll come to that later. The GEMBA is the workplace, by the way. So in this case, before I leave, the SOPs are a guide. So they're not 100% mandatory that every single step is followed, but they are a very, very useful guide in order to help people do the job with minimal fuss and hassle. So the traffic light, the third type of process. And for this one, you don't want to go on red or this might happen. So these are the upper end and they're high precision. They need to be done exactly as prescribed. The outcome's variable and critical. So, you stop at the red light. You don't decide, oh, well, no, I'm not going to bother with the red light. I'm just going to keep going. Or, oh, I'm going to stop at amber. Somebody's going to come in and crash in behind you. So they need to be done properly or bad things are going to happen. Like, so for us in our organization, we have safety critical products with safety critical test processes, and the steps have to be followed very precisely or someone could die. And that's an extreme example, but even if your organization doesn't have safety critical things, you will have processes that critically affect the customer experience. So an example I used recently in a podcast was during a hairdresser's, how long the highlight liquid stays in your hair. If you leave it in too long, you're going to burn it and the hair could all fall out. And if you don't leave it in long enough, you don't get the appropriate color. So yeah, that's a really damaging thing on that customer's experience. Might not kill them, but you're not going to make them very happy. So those are traffic light processes. They're medium to high redundancy. They tend to be the tasks that not that many people know how to do well. So the new starter doesn't just know how to do this one. It's generally the older hands in the business. And they can often be bottleneck processes that when that person's not about, like there's real hassle. Maybe the business grinds to a halt. So in this case, the SOPs are mandatory to be followed and the training is required generally to be able to carry out those tasks effectively. So here's the three processes that we've described. And it's really important that the direction of evolution is moving towards the light bulb. We want to make processes easy to follow, easy to understand, and very difficult to make a mistake. Poka-yoke, as some of you lean guys might know, mistake-proofed as far as possible. So how do we get all this? How do we get a great process? And remember the definition? Great processes are clearly understood by the people carrying them out, who do so in a smooth and efficient way that allows value to flow to produce a consistent outcome. Well, how do you get there? Well, the great in the great processes is actually an acronym, and it's G.R.E.A.T, as you see here. And by the way, we all want you to be like Bill. We've got a famous Bill in lean circles, a guy Bill Utter. I'm going to give him a shout out here. That's Bill. Be like him. Big shout out, Bill. So now for great, we got GEMBA, recognized, easy, available at point of use, and tested and trained. Now let's dive in. GEMBA. So what's the GEMBA? Well, lean people will know a GEMBA is a workplace. My favorite description of GEMBA is scene of the crime. That's what the Japanese news stations do, apparently. Let's go to the GEMBA where the crime is happening. So the key thing here is to not do them at your desk if that's not where the GEMBA is. So if your GEMBA is physically out in a shop or in a truck or out on the road, make sure you're doing it where the value is being added. Now, it's fine if you're doing a computer-based process, that's the GEMBA, do it there. But too often people are creating standards at a distance from the GEMBA. And that was one of probably the biggest achievement that we managed to achieve with GEMBA Docs was a tool that you could take anywhere, like a mobile app. You can go to the GEMBA with everyone who's involved and carries out that process and do that collective defining of the process. It's really powerful when you do that because we create ownership. The people that are doing the work, adding the value, own the SOP and own the process. It's not done by some manager with a clipboard and a camera. No, it's as far as possible, do the processes, the standards at the GEMBA, buy-in with the people doing the work. They know the most. They're doing it every day. So the next one is recognized, and it's a great byproduct. If you follow the process I just talked about there, where you're doing them collectively at the GEMBA with all the people who are doing the work, you're going to go a long way to making those SOPs recognized, that the method is recognized by the people doing the work. If the method isn't recognized, well, the SOP is purely wallpaper. So I like Steve Carell here. When someone with no idea of how to do your job tries to tell you how to do your job, don't be that guy. So we're looking for the people who do the job know about the SOP and recognize that it's the way to go. That's very, very important. So now we're into easy, and it gives me an excuse to sing. No, not really. I'm not going to sing, but I do love the Lionel Richie Commodore's Easy song. It just makes me smile every time I hear it. Could have played it on here, but I'm not gonna. But easy to use and easy to follow. And with GEMBA Docs, for those of you that are using GEMBA Docs, you'll know the step-by-step process is so easy to understand when it's done properly. You've got your photographs, your text, your video, and yeah, when that's done properly, it's pretty easy to follow those processes. So that's what we're looking for. The process needs to be easy to understand and easy to follow. Next is A, available at point of use. So this is like a flashback in time from Vietnam of my old career. Typically, that's what happens when people are looking for the SOP. It's like, where is it? Where's that SOP? It's in some yellow folder somewhere in a cupboard. That's a flashback. Or it's on some shared directory on a computer that nobody really knows that about and nobody never looks at. Nobody really knows about it. Well, those SOPs, yet again, are wallpaper. So it's very important that the SOP is available where the value is being added. So how do we do that? See, with GEMBA Docs, you can just print them out. Most of our customers still print the SOPs. I'm not a huge fan of that myself. I prefer to have them available digitally, but there's a place for everything. So you can print them out. You can print out the QR codes. I'm a big fan of that, and putting them where they need to be. The answer where the question is one of our favorite lean quotes. So if you got a piece of equipment like a landscaping company and there's a chainsaw where we need to mix the 2-stroke oil with petrol to make that work, and there's a specific process for doing that, put the QR code where the question's going to be asked, and then the kid who's coming in for his summer job can scan that with his phone, look at it, and it's a lot less hassle for the senior people to babysit that kid through that process. You can obviously ask questions if he needs to, but if you understand what I'm getting at, it's available at the point of use. So as a golden rule, put the SOP as close to the point of use as you possibly can, whether it's printed by QR code or in GEMBA docs, you can deploy them via PC, via mobile phone, by a mobile device, an iPad. Lots of our customers have iPads in their shops, and they access and skip through the SOP step by step. From a personal perspective, using GEMBA docs, that's by far the best way I've found to do tasks that you don't do very often, and you can just swipe through them in the app, and it's easy to see where am I rather than referring to the printed example. So I'm a big fan of that. And then finally, you've got video QR codes in GEMBA docs as well. So you can still use videos. You can paste in complete videos for an SOP and hold them all in GEMBA docs, or you can just do the short video steps integrated into the standard GEMBA doc. So hopefully that's all clear. The answer to available at point of use of how to deploy is it depends. So finally, just before I get off that, if you've got a workstation where you've got multiple products and multiple activities happening, obviously, in my mind, deploying it digitally via iPad or a PC or a mobile device is the best way to go. If there's a workstation where it's a singular process that always happens, then it makes more sense to print things. So hopefully that helps you. We go over all of that in the book. The final T is tested and trained, and especially for traffic light processes, because, you know, Joe writes the SOP or Jill writes the SOP. She's not very good at it, and it's a safety critical process, like drying the baby here. Well, you don't want to be putting it in the tumble dryer here. You want to be doing it like the yes guy. So it's important that for those kind of processes that they're reviewed. And we have an approval process in GEMBA docs for doing that. So you can set that formally up. Although I must say, I'm not a huge fan. It's only if you've got ISO 9000 or you've got a lot of regulations in your business, the approval process, you have to have it. But apart from that, just have processes in your business that the routine is that they're checked with another colleague, and especially a senior one, before they go out. And I couldn't help it. Here's another one of the. If you're gonna, don't wash the baby with the jet wash. It's not very good. They won't like it. And the social services might have something to say. So use a towel. Yeah, seriously, make sure especially for your safety or traffic light processes, that they're reviewed before they're released. And the other part of that is training. So this guy, he read the SOP about how to fly a 747. Look where it got him. In fact, that might be a Learjet, but hey, bear with me. A big shout out to Christina Fedyuk of Progress Service, by the way. She sent me the basis for this presentation. This is one of the videos she used. So we don't want to fly the Learjet or the 747 with a pilot who just read the manual. That guy needs to be trained. So think about that for your traffic light processes. Don't just like, go and do the SOP and leap in there and potentially hurt someone, or quality issue with customer, cost problem for the company if we scrap or rework or defects, or we don't want anything that's really going to hurt with people not being trained up. So that's the final part of your GREAT, G.R.E.A.T. And the idea is that you can use this GREAT acronym to test yourself against. And when you have a process, is it great? Did we do all of that? Is that in place? Because then you're going to have great processes. That's what the purpose of the acronym is. So on the training side, this is also in the GREAT Processes book. You can go on here, and this is a training within industry. We're real big fans of that. Mark Warren is a guy who helped us out at GEMBA docs with this kind of material. This is decades old, and this is just a good way to instruct someone to do a task. So you prepare the person, you put them at ease, you state what the job is about, find out what they already know. It's really about respecting that person. To present, and you show one important step at a time, each key point and its reason, and you're instructing clearly and patiently. And then you're trying out the third step, the performance, and to understand that the person has understood what you've said, and that you're staying there until you you know that they know. And then you can start to pull away. But my favorite line in that graphic is if the person hasn't learned, the instructor hasn't taught, which is in a lot of less enlightened organizations is not the case. So don't be those guys. If the person hasn't learned, the instructor hasn't taught. And a lot of organizations use skills matrix like this. If any of you've seen the yellow tools, AME Tour, they're very good at skills matrix. We visited them with my organization a few weeks ago, mind blowing. Skills matrices can be really powerful tools. We may put this functionality into GEMBA at a future time, but it isn't there at the moment. So that's all the what. But then if I'm sitting here and I've either started using GEMBA just recently, or I've been using it for a while and maybe I'm not getting what I want out of it, well, what do I do? So this is a little timing plan. Weeks 1 and 2, the diagram shows the caveman and what happens when you push lean, standards, GEMBA. I used to look at this graphic and think that the guys that were playing and pulling with the cart and struggling were the ones who were like the stupid ones, but it's actually not. I've come to understand that the stupid one's the guy who's just watching them and he's trying to push something onto them, but they're going, I'm too busy. I don't have time for that. We've got this thing to move. So what we need to do for those poor guys that are pushing the square wheel cart is to help them understand that these aren't handcuffs. These are tools that are going to help them. And we need to give them the time and the space to make improvements so that we can get the round wheels on the cart. That's the way to go with GEMBA. Think of GEMBA like the round wheels. So key thing there is to start with yourself. If you're the leader of the organization or you're the GEMBA advocate, get going with it yourself. Don't try to push this onto other people. Do simple and visible SOPs within your own span of control. So things like cleaning the bathroom, how to carry out a meeting that you carry out with your people, how to carry out a daily review. These are things I use myself at GEMBA. And then people get to say, oh, what's that? That's good. And you build some curiosity and you start to put the answer where the question is. Some things, simple things like the coffee machine, how to clean the coffee machine, how to fill it with water, whatever the little hassle of your day that stops the flow, like the printer cartridge that nobody knows how to change and nobody knows where to get the stuff. Start with those things. Build some curiosity about what this thing is. Don't get too ambitious right away. Week 3 and 4, read the book or download the book in Lean Play. Here's a QR code for it. Hopefully my visage isn't stopping you from reading that QR code. Just scan it. You can get the book from gembadocs.com. You can download the Lean Play app from there. You can also download a PDF of the book. Just print it out. You can buy it on Amazon, but I don't make any money. I just put it on Amazon just so that people could easily access it. So that's the next thing. Get your team. Hey, let's read this book. We're going to do these standards, and we're all going to work. Invite them to the GEMBA app. That's easily done from within the app, so that all your SOPs are going to be grouped together under one umbrella. And yeah, just get playing with it. Get people excited about it. That's week 3 and 4, getting the team involved. Week 4 onwards is you now start to get more serious and you start to prioritize and plan about the bananas and the traffic lights in your business and how are we going to get better, where are these SOPs really going to add value for us. So you can prioritize and plan. You can start coming up with the nomenclature. Like we have clients with 700 odd SOPs in GEMBA that aren't huge companies. So you need to understand what you're going to call the SOPs. You can maybe use our tag system. That's a feature within GEMBA so that you can categorize them, make them easy to search. It also means that you can put relatively sensitive SOPs on there, like banking, for example, or HR related processes, just as examples. Processes you don't want to go beyond a select few of people. So the tagging feature lets you do that, so you can restrict access to certain tags. So, and the final part of this is your deployment strategy. So where does available at use work for you? So how are you going to deploy? You're going to print them out. You're going to QR code them. Are you going to access them via iPads? You're going to put computers on the shop. And you can have I would recommend actually that you have a mixture of those deployment methods because most of us have different use cases. So there we go. That was fun. I enjoyed it. I don't know if you did. But there's a big thank you from me. I hope you enjoyed the book. If you're a GEMBA user, I hope you're enjoying it. Feel free to reach out to me with any feedback. One of the hardest jobs I have is taking improvement suggestions and politely not doing them. But it is a huge source of improvement for how GEMBA has progressed is user feedback, and we love to have it. But please bear in mind we can't do everything. So yeah, QR codes there for Improvement Starts with I, my first book, gembadocs.com, where you can download the app and get your free 30-day trial if you haven't done it already. And then Great Processes, again, that'll probably take you to the Lean Play app. But again, all of this can be accessed from the new homepage of gembadocs.com. So look, any comments? Welcome. Thank you very much. I'm just delighted to be part of this community, delighted to serve. And one of the biggest joys of my entire career has been GEMBA, and the customers are just absolutely amazing. It's way more than just a product for me. So if it wasn't making workplaces better, I wouldn't be interested, and I know it does. So thanks for your patience, everybody. If you're watching this on YouTube, please like it, please share it, please comment. I love to hear your comments, and yeah, I'm very grateful. Thanks, everyone.